I was asked to present today. Our original speaker unfortunately couldn't make it. I put together some information which hopefully you'll find informative and educational. Now, this is in three parts, so I'm going to concentrate on each part, but collectively it comes in. I put a post on LinkedIn over the weekend. What's the difference between a supplier and a partner to the rail industry? And hopefully you'll see what I mean once I've finished my presentation. So let's just start with an introduction to Hilti. So where is Hilti operating from? Well, we're a global brand, but our headquarters is in Liechtenstein, which is a tiny principality on the German-Austrian border. We have over, well, it's 32,000 employees globally now, of which probably 70% are customer facing. So if you have a Hilti type question, then please come to Hilti. On the top right there, you'll see we are the partner for the professional construction industry and allied trades, including civil engineering, railway engineering, etc. So you're not going to see our kit in Wix or B&Q. That's not the market where we operate. And on the bottom right, you'll see there, we pride ourselves on our innovation. And if any of you have any exposure to Hilti, hopefully you think of us as good quality kit, reliable, etc. Well, we plough in over £250 million per year on research and development. Now, just to give you an idea on perspective, if you look at the GB turnover within Hilti, that was about 180 million. So we're spending that and again more globally on just research and development. And what that enables us to do is to bring out typically between 50 to 60 new products year in, year out. And some of these you'll see shortly. Just quickly on the topic of sustainability. First off, we're EcoVadis Gold accredited, which if any of you have any involvement with sustainability, you'll know clearly that's a good thing. We committed to become carbon neutral by the end of last year, and one of the steps for that was our red fleet of company vehicles. The vast majority now are electric. With regard to circularity, we also paved the way here. The image shows our workshop facilities. So if we get tools back for repair or service, if they're beyond economical repair, what we do, we don't throw them in the skip. What we'll do, we'll strip them down. And if there's any working parts that can be reused, then we'll do that. The middle section is about health and safety, and this is both internally for our own employees and externally for our customers. And again, I've got some examples which I think you'll find interesting with regard to health and safety. And on the far right, we have what we call the Hilti Foundation, which is a little bit of an unsung hero. This is where we support perhaps people less privileged than ourselves. We recently went to Romania and built some housing. We've also taken a collective of children that have a musical bent and put them into an internationally renowned orchestra. So we'll train them to make sure that they get the best out of that. So that gives you a little bit of flavour about Hilti. If we look within the rail industry, some of you may or may not have seen us at a lot of the trade events, so whether it's Rail Live, Rail Techs, InfoRail, and we also support as well with a lot of the Network Rail Safety Stand Down Days. So you might recognise that image on the bottom left. That's the Ashford DU, where we was asked to come along and show our latest innovation. But we don't just turn up with a table with a few bits and pieces on it. We like to demonstrate, or better still, get the client on the end of the tool to try it, to see how easy it is themselves. Now, I can tell you how great Hilti are, but what about some referrals from within the industry? So every summer, COVID accepted, there's a 2-day event in Stratford upon Avon called Rail Live. And historically, this was based on big road rail equipment. But over the last 10 years or so, it's evolved to include all plant, including hand tools, the sort of stuff we would get involved with. And over that last 10-year period, I'm pleased to say that Hilti has twice been awarded the Plant Safety Champion Award. So as great as that is, when you think of all the suppliers that Network Rail deals with, to identify Hilti as their plant safety champion, that's quite some accolade. However, doing a deep dive, why did we get it? Well, one was our innovative approach to problem solving, and again, you'll see some examples of that shortly. But also, the vast majority of the tooling that we supply the industry is cordless, not necessarily battery, but certainly cordless, which obviously necessitates the requirement of generators, spill kits, jerry can of fuel, and of course the tripping hazards of trailing leads. We also got a highly commended from the Modern Railways Rail Industry Innovation Award for one of our bits of kit that can be used for a multitude of tasks. The image on the right hand side shows you one of our battery drilling machines. In its barest form, it can be used for drilling into brickwork and concrete, that's fine, but it can also be used on rotary only into wood or steel. It also can be used as a light duty breaker by selecting the chiseling function. And the image shown there on the bottom right, it actually has a dust extraction that simply slides and locks onto the front of the tool. So for small diameter, shallow embedment, where dust is a potential issue on site, there's your solution. So the type of products we supply the rail industry are wide and varied. But any of you on social media, you would have seen probably about 15 months ago, there was a product launch that we had where we introduced the Neuron range, which is a completely new cordless battery platform that superseded anything else we previously had. Now, the next slide, if everything works correctly, is a short video. There's no dialogue, there's just a little bit of music, but hopefully you'll get a flavour of what the Hilti cordless Neuron range is all about. So there you go. That's the Hilti Neuron range. And essentially, I know not all those applications are railway related, but it just gives you an overview. I mentioned earlier about this investment in R&D, 50, 60 new products. Well, when we launched Neuron, there was 50 tools on their own in that launch in that October 22. So it is one platform. There's 5 different batteries, all with the same connections that can be used on all those tools. So the idea is you don't have to mix and match with different manufacturers. One platform does it all. It is just a 22 volt. And for any of you that remember, we used to have a 36 volt platform. That's now been superseded by this. And although it's a 22 volt, it actually gives you a better runtime because of the advances of technology. Top right, performance, again, picking up on that technology piece. We now have the power, in some cases, twice the power of our competitors. So that gives you a longer runtime and gives you all the benefits of perhaps taking less kit out with you. The bottom left, the intelligence and connectivity. This is the data-driven services. So with any Hilti bit of kit, clearly you can invest. And notice I use the word invest, not buy, because it is an investment. But we also have a lease option. So if you have visibility, maybe the start of a control period, and you need a number of tools, instead of a big upfront outlay, you could pay a monthly fee that's fixed for the contract duration. Now, what that also does, it gives you the visibility of when you charge the battery, lots of detail will become available to you, such as the last 10 tools that battery's been plugged in. It will also give you not so much a GPS location, but it will give you an indication of where the battery's last been charged. So it's quite a clever bit of kit. And then on the health and safety topic, there's lots of innovation that we've provided on this new platform. And again, I'll talk you through some of that in a second or two. So this was the 50, 60, 70 tools that were launched back in October 22. Now, what I've done, I've highlighted the more relevant ones that are applicable to the rail trade. So, you know, drilling machines, nut runners, grinders, lights, circular saws, etc., etc. But because the advent of the technology that I mentioned earlier, we now have the facility to, inverted commas, go big. So we have a 12-inch cut-off saw. So this isn't for cutting rail, this would be for cutting concrete, brickwork, tarmac, that sort of thing, on a battery platform. And next to it, on the right-hand side, we have a T-breaker that was shown in that video. Now that T-breaker, that has a vibration of sub 4 meters per second. And you can also attach a dust extraction unit, which is, again, the VC1022 on that top line. So you can have a battery vac with a battery breaker, you know, you could be anywhere. And then on the right side, it says stay tuned. So in October 22, we had 70 tools. As of today, we now have 120 tools on that platform. But interestingly, I've got another product launch later this month, and there's another dozen or so tools coming out on this platform. And the range is expanding, not just with the numbers of the type of tools we had, but the range is growing. So we have tower lights now, we have concrete vibrators and mixers. So stuff that we wouldn't normally have in the portfolio has been added to this, and it all uses the same battery platform. So as it says on the right, stay tuned. So here's an indication on those battery platforms. So on the left-hand side, in the sort of dark grey columns, you've got the old 22 volt Hilti platform and then the old Hilti 36 volt platform. And then you can see with the Neuron 22 volt platform, then clearly it outperforms, even though it's less voltage. And then for the bigger tools, so that's the cut-off saw and the breaker, they use 2 batteries, and essentially you also get twice the output. For any of you who have used a cut-off saw, the battery equivalent slightly lighter, and from a runtime point of view, with the 2 batteries in it and 2 as backup, is comparable to a tank of fuel, just to give you an idea. On the intelligence and connectivity, or this data-driven details, as I alluded to earlier, when you charge the battery, information goes up to the cloud. So that can give you all sorts of information should you need it. The last 10 tools that the battery was used on, it will give you a last charged location, although it's not, as I say, down to a millimetre. It's going to be within, maybe a few metres or so. We also have the battery health monitoring. So there's two ways of doing this. One, you can do some diagnostics yourself. The button on the battery you simply depress and it does a self-diagnostics. It runs for about 15 seconds and then it's a traffic light, red or green. If it's green, then the battery's fine. If it's red and the battery is less than 2 years old, if you reach out to my colleagues in customer services, quote the serial number and they'll organise a replacement free of charge. Now, if you go for our fleet option, this lease deal that I mentioned, we'll proactively reach out to you. So when your batteries are being charged, if we see they're dropping below a performance level that we'd expect it to run at, proactively, we will reach out to you and say, Mr. Customer, battery serial number 12345 isn't running at its optimum. We'd like to collect that and remove it from your database and supply you a new one free of charge. And the last point is this idle and hoarded assets. So this gives you the visibility of tools that perhaps haven't been used or moved or whatever. So you might have some tools in the stores, they've been sitting there for what you may think is a few weeks, but it actually transpires it's a few months. Now, if they're hired in, potentially it may be worth off-hiring them, save yourself some money, and when the job comes up where you do need them, you simply hire them in for when they're required. And that'll be through the likes of Speedy and Sunbelt, people like that. And then we have the topic of health and safety. So there's several ways that we play in this field. So the first one on the top left, clearly there's a tether attached to that particular machine. And our tethers can fit any machine, doesn't have to be our own brand. Underneath that, you see ATC. Now that stands for Active Torque Control. So on the video that played earlier, you may have seen a drilling machine where the guy was drilling into the wall and the drill bit binds or snags on a bit of rebar. And what that does, there's an inbuilt sensor within the machine and it will turn it off. So it thus prevents the tool snatching and perhaps breaking wrists or throwing people off ladders. And that's in addition to a full safety mechanical clutch. We also have our active vibration reduction, AVR. So whether you're drilling, cutting, grinding, braking, we have a dampened rear handle, and a lot of the tools we have now are sub 5 meters per second, which is this NR kind of target. However, where the vibration is greater than 5 meters per second, using our bits of kit, you can actually do the task significantly quicker, so the overall exposure is less when compared to other tools in the market. The grinder, now here's a clever bit of kit. So the grinder, first of all, has 3D active torque control. So if I'm grinding on a bit of steelwork or whatever, if the blade grabs and it's trying to swivel you to your right, the tool will automatically turn itself off. It knows the working surface or the working area where you'll be grinding that bit of steelwork. As soon as you move out of it, if it grabs and snatches, turns the tool off straight away. And then the SenseTech, that's even cleverer. So on the grinder, you'd have one hand on the side handle, which incidentally can be mounted right or left, and you'd have the other hand on the barrel. Now, the on switch is at the top of the tool, you can probably just make out, and it's on or off. So you turn it on, but of course, if you used to drop that, the blade would still be spinning. With SenseTech, as soon as your hand is taken away from that barrel, i.e. you drop it or you take your hand off, the tool automatically turns itself off, even if the trigger is on the on position. And coincidentally, while we're talking health and safety, there is also a dust extraction hood that you can attach to this grinder. So if it was mortar raking or again working in a confined space, the dust can be taken away at source. So some clever stuff with the grinders. And then on the right, the tools are well balanced, very ergonomic. And as we said before, all the batteries will fit on all of the tools. And the last piece is on dust extraction, and this will lead on to something in a second. So on the far left hand side, you have, although it may not look like it, that's actually a drill bit. So you have a standard industry connection end on the right, you have a Hilti cutting edge on the left, but there's no helix. This is a hollow drill bit. So this hollow drill bit, the red shroud that's coming off that, you would plug in a hose to your battery vacuum cleaner, and then as you drill into your brickwork, concrete, whatever, the dust is sucked through the middle of the drill bit, through the hose, into the vacuum cleaner for you to dispose of at a later date. What about if you've got water ingress above wherever you're working? So clearly the hollow drill bit will potentially clog and not be suitable. So what we have the middle image, which is showing the drill with a rubber elephant's nose, as it's known within the trade, that simply concertinas up. So you have a traditional helix drill bit. The hose goes away again to your vacuum cleaner, but as you drill, it's not dust that is taken away. It may be a slurry or a sort of a paste that's been taken away. So the next one along is the breaker. So that was in the video. That's our 20 kilo breaker, as I say, with a sub 4 meters per second vibration and the ability to operate dustless. And the far right hand side along the bottom is our TE6 with our dust extraction that we won the award on one of my previous slides. So that's generically talking about the Neuron range. And as I said before, started with, 60, 70 tools. We're now up to 120, and this is the future. All new battery tools that we will introduce will be on this platform, and there'll be other tools that we've never had before that will be on it. But let's have a look at some of the applications specifically within a rail environment where Hilti have come up with a solution partnering with the industry. So dust. So when we talk about dust within the industry, it's normally ballast dust. Now that's not what I'm referring to when I'm talking about dust. I'm talking about the dust that's created when you're drilling, breaking, cutting, coring, etc. So for those of you that see the flyer that I circulated, you'll know that dust is a bad thing. It doesn't matter if you have the appropriate PPE on, if it finds way into your ears, in your hair. So if you can stop it at source, that is by far the best solution. So I'd just like to share these slides with you. Have a look at this. So I want you to use your imagination. Imagine this is underneath a station or it's in a tunnel, but essentially we have three operatives here. We have a chap on the right hand side who's cutting. We have a chap in the middle who looks like he's breaking there. And we have a chap on the left who's kneeling, who's doing some grinding. Now at the bottom of the screen, there's a stopwatch. Now this stopwatch is in seconds, not minutes. So let me just run forward. So very quickly, you can see within 6 seconds how much dust is created. Now we know in reality, the individuals will be doing this task for, half an hour, whatever, but certainly significantly longer than 6 seconds. If only there was a solution. And there is. So we have our dust removal system. So all those tools can be attached to our vacuum cleaners. Now let me just go back a slide. 6 seconds. And this has been operating for 30 minutes, no problems, no dust. That's quite a powerful image. What are the benefits? Well, clearly from a health and safety point of view from the operative, he's in a far better place. Interesting to note, the tools remain or become more efficient because the vents aren't getting clogged up with dust, and the consumables become more efficient because you're taking the dust away, whether you're drilling, chiseling, cutting, grinding, etc. So that enables you to do the task even quicker. So it gives you the full suite. It gives you health and safety benefits to the operative. And don't forget, it's not just the operative, it's the staff who are working around him. It enables you to do the task safer and quicker, and therefore providing productivity gains. And that led into the slide that I used for the flyer for today's meeting. So that's myself with the battery vacuum cleaner attached to a backpack, so you can literally wear it on your back. So instead of dragging a vacuum cleaner along on wheels, bouncing along the track or whatever it is, you can wear it. And then you have the hose going there into the hollow drill bit. And then I have a battery drill with a battery vacuum cleaner. So I'm completely portable. I can do that task anywhere. The hollow drill bits come in a variety of diameters and lengths, and we do the more common SDS Plus and SDS Max connection ends. Let's have a look at some other applications where we've become involved and come up with a solution. So pendule clip removal. So we're talking about 401s predominantly, and you often see people removing these with a keying hammer, rightly or wrongly. And when they're under tension, when they come out, they're a bit like a missile. They can fly. And the recourse of that is obviously colleagues working in and around you, and they can be struck on the leg, or this poor chap got struck on the face. It's not good. So you're looking for a controlled solution. So the Network Rail health and safety guys approached me and said, come on, Colin, what can we come up with? So this is the solution we have in our portfolio. So it is the Hilti T1000, and we developed an insert which hooks round the 401. Now, I hasten to add at this point, it's not suitable for fast clip and it won't work on an e-clip. But for 401s, which are the most common, it literally hooks round the key and it eases it out. It doesn't fire it out. So let me just show you this. So that's the Hilti T1000 being used to remove seized pendule clips. And we've done this on various locations, tunnels, bridges, level crossings, and it's certainly been a far more effective solution than big hammers, etc., etc. But that's fine. What happens if the clip has broken and you need some sort of drift to remove it out of the housing so you can put a new clip in its place? So we've come up with that as well. So I know the image is showing a complete clip, but if you can imagine that clip has been damaged and it's just the nugget, if you like, in the housing. We have this drift which fits in the same tool, and then all you do, you just ease the billet out, and then obviously you can then put your new clip back in. I got approached by the Track Safety Alliance about an application for the installation of lateral end restraint plates, and they redeveloped the LERPs, and they wanted a solution for installing it on the sleeper ends and in the forefoot. So they tried petrol tools that were probably overpowerful when I was bouncing all over the top. They tried big hammers, didn't want to be doing that. So they reached out to me because the T1000 Network Rail approved. Can we come up with a special chisel that would mirror the shape of the insert on the top of that blade? So we got together, we had a look at the application, and I said, well, look, if we have to develop from a standing start a new chisel to support this particular application, there's going to be manufacturing costs, there's manufacturing times. Why not drill a 22mm hole, 12mm deep, in the head of the blade, and then our standard TES shaft will fit straight into that, and you literally just drive it straight down into the track. So you still need to dig it out, but you're using off-the-shelf proprietary items, and that's what they've been doing. You remember the T2000, what we spoke about earlier on the video, the new battery neuron tool? Well, it can also be used for installing the LERPs. Same application, obviously cordless, no generators, no trailing leads. It's got more power, more punch, if you will, so it enables you to do the task even quicker. And whilst we're talking about PWI and innovation, I'll just share this with you. So cutting rail, so I'm not talking flame cutting, I'm talking about cutting rail using a traditional petrol saw. So first off, we don't have a saw for cutting rail. News alert, not yet. We're working on it. But what we do have, we have a traditional carborundum disc, which is very much similar to the standard blades on the market. You'll get 1 or 2 cuts, then that's it. But we also have a 14-inch diamond blade specifically designed for cutting metal. And the advantages of this are clear. Multiple cuts. It doesn't matter if it's out there and you're raining, the blade will still perform. Doesn't matter if it gets wet. If you hit a bit of ballast, it's not going to shatter. And I think that the ultimate one is how many cuts, because clearly a diamond blade is going to cost more than a traditional carborundum. And as you can see in that image there, I got 9 cuts in one sitting. We actually went back the following day and we got additional cuts out of the same blade as well. So for multiple cuts, instead of taking a box or 2 of blades out, you can just take one of these. Now, obviously, we're a broad church within the PWI, and it's not just about permanent way. So I wanted to share with you just 1 or 2 applications where we've been supporting the signalling fraternity, just to give you an idea of the innovation that we're bringing to the table. So here is our solution to the track circuit application. Now, we was approached by the industry. Hilti is a recognised supplier for fixing and fastening solutions. How would you install a track circuit? So we said, well, how would you currently do it? Normally a petrol tool clamped over the top, etc., etc. So we come up with this solution. So instead of me verbalizing it, let me just play this video and hopefully you'll see what I mean. So everything's supplied in one kit, in one box. You have a cartridge tool, a drill, a couple of batteries, charger, and a recess for all the consumables. So we do 3 different jigs for the most popular rail profiles, and they're magnetic. So they simply sit in the web of the rail. Now what we're going to do now, we're going to mark the 2 holes in the rail at the correctly spaced 76mm centres. So there we've marked the 2 holes. We're now going to go back and we're going to finish drilling. It's a shoulder drill bit, so you're not drilling all the way through the rail, we're just drilling a 7mm deep, 4.2 diameter. So the drilling time using a battery tool, and obviously can be done very, very quickly. And then we have a cartridge tool. By definition, the power source is a strip of cartridges, and we have a threaded stud, in this case an M6, that sits in the front, but notice it sticks out. And then all we're going to do is line it up in the hole, pull the trigger, and the stud is an interference fit in that blank hole. We then remove the protective caps off the threaded stud to expose the M6 stainless rod, and then attach the track circuit, put your stay tight nuts and torque to 10mm as you would. So it's quick, easy, portable, industry approved. Now, what's interesting with that application, we've had that for some time, but both NR and the signalling contractors like the Siemens, Atkins, etc., have become quite creative, and they're using the same kit, so the same tools, the same drill bits, same studs, as an alternative to a galvanised wire on a fish-plated joint. Now, we don't make the cable, the back-to-back cable, but it's the same manufacturer, makes the track circuit so it has the same hole geometry, which enables us to use the same stud. This will give you a far better reliability as opposed to a galvanized wire. Disconnection boxes. So when these are fastened to a steel signal post, what the guys and girls have been doing is putting one stud at the back of the disconnection box. You've got a hole at the 6 o'clock and the 12 o'clock positions. So they put one stud on each of them, nut and washer, and then they run a cable away from the disconnection box and then another cable up to the disconnection box. So again, they use another M6 stud and they use one of our P-clips just to hold the clip in place. And then the other one was running cables up a signal gantry. So in this instance, it is the same kit, the same drill bit, but we've gone for a bigger M10 stud. And this enables us to use our clips with an M10 boss. And you simply spin that on, attach the cable, and it gives you a nice, tidy, safe job. The more traditional method for fixing cables to concrete sleepers is cleating. So we have the Neuron battery drill, what we spoke about earlier, is NR approved. We have the drill bit, 6mm drill bit, and we have the hammer screw and P-clip, industry standard. And this has been done for some time. But what about if you want to fasten to wood or steel sleepers? So we have a network rail approved solution for this. So again, I'll just run this video and you'll see how that works. So we have that track circuit installed, and now we're going to cleat, in this case, to a wooden sleeper. Now it could be a steel sleeper if it's north of the river, but the gas goes in as a power source. There's your gauge telling you how much gas you got, and the nails go in the magazine. You can put up to 40 nails in, and one canister of gas will give you 1,250 fixings. P-clips come in different shapes and sizes, but notice that raised dimple. That enables it to attach to the front of the tool, and then you just simply push down, pull the trigger, no drilling. It just fires the nail through the P-clip, and in this case into your hardwood sleeper, but equally it would work on a steel sleeper. Nice, clean, tidy job. That solution would also work on the GRP sleepers as well. And then just quickly running through some of these other signaling applications, the Hilti HSL anchor is the industry standard for fixing the AWS bolts, AWS magnets down. This has been upgraded. It's the same diameter, it's the same length, it gives you the same load performance, but the torque moment has been reduced, making it easier to set. And in the bolt head, there's a QR code. So if that AWS magnet was installed and there was an issue with one of the fixings, you could simply scan the bolt head with the Hilti app and it will tell you the part number, the batch number, the description, etc., etc. And if you look at that application, the Hilti T30 Neuron battery drill, network rail approved. The bolt with the red head, network rail approved, and of course the drill bit is our 18mm standard that's on iStore. And then just quickly rattling through these last couple, cutting in alley plate, channel rodding, we have a circular saw that's designed for cutting metal. Now normally circular saws, you're thinking kitchen work surfaces, etc. This one is designed for cutting metal. It's also a cold cut. It's also non-sparking, and it's also capable of collecting the swarf as it cuts. So some very clever stuff there, and it's been well embraced by both maintenance and works delivery within an hour. And then cable theft is, or certainly was, a bit of an issue. We have a solution where we have our resin that's historically used with our threaded rods that can be used as an adhesive. So literally you line the top of the concrete trough lid, sorry, the trough itself, and then embed the trough lid on top. And then over time the resin cures. So at 20 degrees is about 9 hours. It's fully cured. So where you have easy access, so it might be level crossings, places where the public can get in easy to, and then these undesirables may be trying to take cable out, you could put maybe 10 or 12 troughs glued down. Beyond that, they'll be open because obviously you need access from a maintenance point of view. And then just finally, on the lighting perspective, on the Neuron platform, we also have lights. So to complement the head torch, we have a task light, we also have an area light, and also we've recently introduced a tower light. So the tower light goes up to 2.1 meters, it's 6,500 lumens, and on that runtime, it's about 4.5 hours. The clever thing with that light is you can isolate either the left or the right. So if I'm putting that light up to a tunnel wall, or I only want to illuminate one side of the track, by turning off the other half, obviously we don't have any light pollution, but I'm going to get double out my battery because I'm only using half the LEDs. So a glimpse into the future. This is new stuff that's coming. It's not yet available, but it is coming this year. So this is a battery pack. So there are a couple of bits of kit we have in our portfolio that are still 110 volt. And this battery pack would supersede a generator. So no noise, no fumes, no rip cords, no spill kits. It's a battery pack that weighs about, I think it's about 16 kilos. Run time depends what you plug in it, of course, but charging time from flat's a couple of hours. But for the welders who use our needle guns, that would be an ideal bit of kit. And of course, it's, I don't know, 25% of the size and weight. We've also introduced, or will be introducing this year, an addition to our exoskeleton range. So this one, and it's maybe a little bit difficult to make out, the chap who's drilling with that drilling machine, it has a link above the drill that is clipped onto that exoskeleton. So all the chap is doing there is guiding the drill. The weight of the drill is on the exoskeleton. So if you have heavy, big bits of kit that you're using in that sort of environment, you're not actually physically holding it, you're simply guiding it. We also have these concrete vibrators that are coming out this month. We have a backpack version, we do a smaller one. We also have a mixing paddle, so if you're doing grout for below base plates, that sort of thing, all on the Neuron platform. And then these two, so the drilling machine, obviously ideal for hardwood sleepers, and then the impact wrench, that's coming in August, and that's got a 3/4 inch drive, so things like fish plates, that would be ideal. So all this stuff is coming this year, and it's all Neuron battery operated kit. So the final piece of my presentation is about our asset management solution. So I want to take you on a journey into time. So this has been endorsed by Network Rail as an ideal solution for them, and they've invested in this. So Challow, Oxfordshire, October 2021. There was an incident at this location, and suffice to say, the Rail Accident Investigation Branch got involved. Quick geography check. Where is it? Challow, Oxfordshire, so not far from Didcot. Here is a link trolley. Why am I showing you a link trolley? Well, this is what the driver saw when he come down in his Azuma at 123 miles an hour. The link trolley was left on the track. So the Rail Accident Investigation Branch got involved, and they made they decided to do a reconstruction. So this is the access point. So the vehicle backed up onto the track, and then this next slide shows what they've done as a reconstruction, offloaded everything on the trolley. The vehicle drove off, the trolley pushed down to the job site. They then obviously done the task, put everything back on the trolley, brought it back to the access point and loaded it all back. And their conclusion was it was pure and simple, it was human error. However, they made some recommendations. Now, the first thing to point out is we're not going to get involved with the line clear verification process, but with the technology that's available out there with tags and gateways, this should be something that Network Rail would embrace. So that leads on to the Hilti on-track asset management solution. So you know Hilti for tools and for fixings, but we also have a range of services. And here is one example. So with this system, what we have app for your mobile phone, and it works on all mobile phones, and we have the desktop version. That's your software. On the hardware, we have passive tags. So this is like a QR code that's like an adhesive label that you simply attach to the asset. Now that becomes a manual process. When I'm taking it out from the stores, I have to physically scan that tag, and then it says it's been taken from the stores. And then when I finish with it, I have to manually scan it back into the stores. Now, with the greatest will in the world, although that was better than pen and paper, there were still some challenges with that. So we introduced a Bluetooth tag. So this tag would typically go in either zip tied to an asset. Now, don't forget, this can be any asset. It doesn't have to be a Hilti tool. It can be an Ironman, link trolley, skate, point machine, whatever. So this can be zip tied, or it's actually got a wire here that would hook round, and you would attach that to the asset. Now here we have an inventory gateway. So this will be sitting in the stores. So when the asset with this tag attached to it leaves the stores, it's automatically transferred out the stores. There's no paper to be filled out. It automatically does that. But of course, where has it gone? Well, this is a vehicle gateway. So when that asset that has this tag on it leaves the stores and it goes into the van with this gateway, we know that that van is assigned to the PWI manager, registration BX21, wherever it is. And then once he's finished with it, when he returns it back, it gets transferred automatically back in the stores. So let's just show you this one. So said assets in the stores, comes out of the stores, automatically booked into this van. The van drives to site. Now, there may be something they're going to transfer it into a store's location on site, or it might simply get used on site. So let's say it gets used on site. Now, before they hand the track back, that scenario where we had the reconstruction, you simply run inventory report. And what that will do, it will say, when we got to site, 10 assets come out with a Bluetooth tag on, and 10 have been returned to the vehicle, in which case you could send a copy of that report to the COS, whoever needs it, saying, yeah, all fine. But it might say 10 assets were removed, but only 9 returned. It will tell you this is the one that's missing. It will show you a library image of what the thing is that's missing, and because it's Bluetooth, it's sending a signal out. It will show you the last seen location, and it might be 15 minutes ago, and it's just down the track, past that embankment or whatever it is. So you've got a map. You can zoom in and you can see where it is, and then you can ask one of your colleagues, go and pick it up, bring it back to the van, and then we're clear. So it gives you this accountability, it gives you the visibility, and it gives you the transparency as well. And then just as a kind of footnote to this, we've spoken about moving and managing assets. We can do inventory checks. So if you wanted every Monday morning at 7 a.m. to have an inventory check in the stores, it would auto run and send that report to whoever needs it. If you want to create reports, how many repairs have we done in the last 3 months on petrol tools or whatever it is, we can create all these and set them up in the system. And we can also attach any documentation. So it might be, I don't know, MOT, insurance, PTS, operators handbooks, whatever. These can be attached. This thing about asset utilization we spoke about before, you've now got the hard facts in front of you. That set of tools hasn't moved in 6 months. There's the facts, there's the evidence. Let's off-hire it. We don't need it. So yes, it can be used for the assets on the line, but it can be used for a wide range of other things as well. And just to give you some examples, this was the Network Rail plant location in Scotland. So within plant, it's road rail vehicles as well as hand tools. So what they done on these vehicles, they put our QR code on the driver's door. So before the driver got in the vehicle, he'd simply scan the code. It brings up a picture of the image, and it will give him all the additional information he might need. And if there's any certification, it won't just give the date, it will give you a copy, PDF, that you can open up if requested and produce. With regard to PWI consumables, so pairs of fish plates, QR code. Bags of fast clips, QR code. Nips, QR code. And then also Ironman. So this is with a Bluetooth tag. So you notice all those assets I've just shown you, none of them are Hilti related. Now, with all these assets, you'll have multiples of the same thing. So each one of these, Ironman as an example, will have a unique asset number, and also they'll have a unique QR code number on the Bluetooth. So you can do a deep dive. Yep, that's the one I'm looking for. It brings up an image. It gives you when it's in date, when the next service is due, etc., etc. And then this is the last slide for you. So just really some topics of conversation just to get the grey matter thinking. I'm not looking for any direct answers, but you know, with the kit that you have in your inventory, how reliable is it? If you're hiring in kit, is it the latest generation? Is it being serviced? You know, and from a managing of the assets, you know, where are those assets? Who's got them? You know, how much time do you spend trying to find where these assets are? Where the beauty of this system, it's obviously visible there, because if it goes out the stores, it automatically logs it out. It gets in that van, we automatically know, you know, the welding team or the PWI team, they've got it. So you get that accountability and visibility. So that concludes the presentation. So there's three sort of areas. We spoke about Neuron. We spoke about specifically applications where Hilti has supported the rail industry, and then we've gone into the asset management. So hopefully that's given you a bit of a flavour. As I said in my introduction, you know, it's a little bit different being a partner to the rail industry rather than a supplier. Thank you.
That was great.
Thanks very much, Colin. Yeah, over to you, Peter.
Thank you. That was an excellent presentation. Just a quick shout out to those people logged on watching. If you have any questions, now's your chance to dive in. Give me a wavy hand if you've got something to ask. In the meantime, a really fantastic presentation that was quite captivating, actually, Colin. Yeah. It was lovely to hear about the environmental credentials that are being recognised with gold awards. That's always a positive thing to do. Lovely to hear about the capabilities of the Neuron equipment and the breadth of the range that you have to satisfy many needs. You talked about asset reporting and replacement of parts. I mean, that was fantastic. That you would let us know that item X is not performing so well. So send us it back. We'll chuck you a new one. Fantastic. Yeah. What a good bit of customer service that is. One that I found was particularly intriguing was the dust extraction system, because with all the concerns around people breathing in various things that they shouldn't be doing, that sounded like a terrific solution to that particular problem, and quite an interesting demonstration there that you provided for us. I had to have a little giggle at the clip remover, and the poor chap that had a smashed up face from the impact of one of those things. I have seen them fly, and they can be quite nasty. So that was another terrific solution to a bit of an issue. The track circuit fixings, what a good idea that is. Yeah, drilling a little bit and bop, there it is on. Fantastic. And to see what you've got in the pipeline heading our way in the future was also quite enlightening. There were some good bits there. And then winding up, that asset tracking system is brilliant, because it's not only applying to your own, but it's also to other companies' kit as well. Yeah. We've had, unfortunately, some incidents of late of trains running into bits and pieces that have been left out on the infrastructure, and that's never a good place to be.
Mm.
It's really encouraging to hear that there was a tracking system available to do as they said during the Falklands War, wasn't it? I've counted them all out, I've counted them all back.
Yeah.
So yeah, wonderful to see that safety is at the paramount thought process at Hilti, and what you're designing to cure those or assist in sorting out those problems. Really, really fascinating presentation. So thank you very much indeed, Colin. I can't see any questions popping up in the chat. With that, I think it just remains for me to say well done. Thank you very much. And we look forward to getting a beer sometime.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, people, and obviously for the people joining, thank you for your time as well.